shit, which is like cartwheels and like, hang from trees and, so it's about making people better Homo sapiens rather than,
better squatters.
Better squatters. Yeah. I have what I like and it works for me and my clients, but do what you have to do to get better.
So my guest today is a fellow laser, a fellow fitness professional, and also a fellow Floridian. Really, really good guy. He is, as I mentioned, a fitness professional. He's in the personal training industry, lives down in Miami, and he's actually someone that I met as a friend of a friend, which is just goes to show it's a small world out there. Mm-hmm. And now we live not even an hour from each other. So I want to welcome you guys and introduce you guys to Antonio Nesbitt. How we doing, bro?
Good, man. Thank you for the intro. Appreciate the time you got for me.
No, of course, man. I wanted to shout out real quick the one time that we actually got to chill and how we actually met each other, because it's to be a day of the draft. So funny little story, me and Antonio met through Panther, right? And Panther's been a guest on here, and we ended up linking and watching the Patriots versus Dolphins game, right?
It was a Pats Dolphins game, right?
Pats Dolphins.
Yep.
Went down to Miami. He was nice enough to, invite me down there, watch the game on a Sunday. So I figured I always try to rep a shirt or wear something that influences or stands for something with the guests. So I figured I'd rock that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
I'm always down to talk Pats, bro. Like I've been all over the draft this weekend. It's funny because Tom's down here now, so that's even weirder.
Yeah. And Gronk.
Of course, and Gronk. It's wild.
What was your like initial thought when all that went down?
Not surprised. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you do 20 years at any job, you're probably gonna want a different team. You're gonna probably, especially if you feel like you're not gonna be working for too much longer. Mm-hmm. I mean, people forget that athletes are human beings and that sports is their job. So at the end of the day, you can't tell anybody or feel any type of way for someone making the best decision for their family and their career. So mm-hmm. I really only say that because he brought us 6 championships, but I'm a working human as well. So I get it. I get why he did it.
True. That's so true. That's a good point. Most people forget they're human, and they want to do what they want to do, man. They want to do something that's different. They want to do something that's fun. What's crazy too is on the back end, like the athletic training side, a couple of like the longtime athletic trainers for their organization left too. So that's pretty funny. One of my mentors over at Brandeis is now working with one of the two of the ex-athletic trainers there. So
it's a tough place to be. Gillette, what from Bill on down, everybody feels the pressure to be great. So yeah, I guess that's the give and take of that.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. What's I haven't been up to date on the draft. What did we get? What have we done?
You know how it is. We trade out the first round, and then we pick up a bunch of guys that nobody knows. It's nothing new. It's funny because I actually haven't paid too much to the prospects this year. Mm-hmm. I really don't for football because there's just so many, and it's very rare that any of them really pan out unless they're like a top 10 pick. Mm-hmm. So football, I don't really pay attention to the prospects until like they're in game and you see what they can actually do.
Yeah. Till the rookie season comes around, that's when you pay attention. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
What I'm not diehard like that.
No, that makes sense. I'm not. Yeah. I'm definitely not either. I used to watch soccer. I told you that, right? When I went down, I used to be so much more involved in just sports in general, but I started realizing that like it's just a consumption, entertainment based.
Entertainment.
Yeah. So you're not really getting a ton. There's a lot to learn from sports when you're involved, when you're doing it.
Right.
But I don't think the the whole watching and living or dying by being a fan thing is for me. I just
Nah. Yeah, when you're younger, it means a little bit more, I guess,
yeah.
until you really start to realize, that the human aspect of it. It's like you identify with these people because you see, like obviously the millions of dollars that come with the entertainment, but at the end of the day, you have a life to live as well. You can't idolize these athletes forever, and that's the same with like a musician or an actor or anything. Like you grow up idolizing these people, and then you realize they're humans that do crazy, messed up things too. Human shit, yeah. So it's about appreciating it, but also knowing that you have to live your own life. You have to take it with a grain of salt.
But then there's those people where you think they're like, well, how about those people that like would literally kill or die for their team? Like quite literally, they don't care.
Right.
Like, where did that disconnect never happen? How did that just continue to evolve into something that got so crazy?
So crazy. Like I see those videos on Bleacher Report sometimes where it's like fans fighting each other, and it's like, whoa, that I don't think that's on the ticket. Like,
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like you came to see a sporting event, you end up fighting somebody. That's not how it works.
No, that's for sure.
But
let's switch up the pace. What did you get into a workout this morning? It's Saturday. What'd you do for a workout?
So this morning I actually had a client this morning, and then I actually went with my girl to go get some rollerblades. She got some rollerblades today, so that was pretty cool. But then I got a workout. I got a couple workouts in. So I tend to do my training. So like my what I train for myself and what my program for myself. And then I get into more of the content that I want to put out to people that I think that would be useful for them.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
But in terms of clients, you're virtually training some clients or yeah?
Yeah. So I still have a couple that I work with in person. They're very adamant, an older couple too. It's really funny because they're people who you would think would be more likely to want to stay inside, step away, but they're very adamant about being active, and even when they're not working, I work with them 3 days a week. They walk on the days that they're not with me, so this is a couple that is still very adamant about working with me personally. I had a few clients that I was working with personally before this all kind of started who are still very adamant about doing it. But once, more information started to come about the virus, they're like, all right, maybe we'll step away and come back to it. So mostly, honestly, I've been doing group classes through the gym I am working with now. So
is that sensory fitness?
Yeah. Sensory Fitness down in Pinecrest. Shout out to Sensory.
Yeah.
Great. We do Pilates and strength training as well as like rehab and physical therapy.
Nice.
So we do everything in regards to balance. So we try to help you out any way we can, however you need it. So, but personally, like the business has been hit pretty hard, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast right now. That's kind of, we're at the helm, just trying to figure out what to do next. But like we were talking about earlier too, I mean, it's a huge opportunity for us to get better at our craft in the way that we can explain things through a virtual call, the way that we can demonstrate and pick on certain cues, not necessarily having the ability to like tactile cue, touch a body part and make them move through that. So if anything, it's just going to sharpen our skills and just make us as fitness professionals adapt to the fact that, we have to be able to do things in all sorts of ways. And honestly, like we were talking about Peloton, you have Mirror, you have Echelon, you have all these different companies that are, Hydro is another one. I don't know if have you seen?
Yeah, okay. I've seen Hydro.
Yeah.
And they're all trying to, again, capitalize on kind of like that futuristic, like where do we meet people where they're at? And a lot of times people are comfortable in their own space.
Yeah.
But honestly, it really, these companies are not going to have the longevity of, say, a coach, a fitness professional like you or I, who coach people on behavior change every single day. You know, like just plopping a Peloton into someone's living room is not going to, you know, give them the motivation or the discipline to want to eat better or, you know, work out harder or push themselves to a space mentally or physically that they've never been before. So I think, again, you're so right about this is really shifting. It's not only like a culture change within the industry, but also we now as coaches have to be better as coaches. Like we can't just show somebody a move now and expect them to get better. It's now where through a computer, I have to be able to communicate and show you based off how you learn, you know, the right way to do things. So again, it's just making us better, and it's awesome.
No, like you said, I think you made a huge point based on how you learn, because everybody has, right? You have different learning capabilities and different ways of processing information. And that just goes to show everything comes back down to like psychology and mindset and your understanding of just human beings in general. Who do you have in front of you? How are you going to interact with them? How are you going to make them change? Whether it's in terms of, you know, waking up and just exercising a little bit, or if it's drinking more water, or if it's making a choice when you're out at midnight and you want some food, you know, it's like everything comes down to mindset. Now, in terms of mindset too, I think it's important to harp on the fact that you take a super, I mean, you can see the plants behind you, super like holistic approach. What is
we got a lot of plants, man. We out here.
He's got the bikes, he's got the plants, he's got everything.
Plants at the big tree, like
there it is.
I'm all about the nature, bro.
Yo, when I went into your apartment, bro, the vibe, like the feeling was absolutely insane, just based on the, you know, the color schemes, the vibrancy of some of the colors, the, you know, the organization of stuff that you had. Like you had tons of books, you had Buddhas and like all these different things going on, and I was like, damn, I gotta start to implement some of that. So
everything has to have a purpose.
Without a doubt. No, and it was definitely like efficiently done and purpose driven. So that was cool. Definitely wanted to make a point. What are some like major things that you would recommend to people based on that? Just like, why is it important, and what are some like simple things that people can add in to maybe their space, their bedroom, their living room, anything?
I know that it kind of sounds like simple, but it's really about first consciously deciding, right? Like deciding that I want to be better than I am now, right? Like I want to have, I see a version of myself that I am not right now, and I want to get there. And it's not about, you know, listening to, you know, what people are saying that you should be doing or things that work for them. It's really a trial and error. You know, like I'm a big believer in having a morning routine. I won't tell you what that morning routine looks like for you. You know what I'm saying? Find something that you enjoy doing every single day and make that the first thing you do when you wake up. You know, I like to move, right? So the people I know who like to move, I always recommend a morning movement routine, right? 10 minutes every day. And whether you're doing like CARs, like circular articular rotation, right, through your joints, or you're going through a yoga sequence, you know, you're doing your sun salutation, whether you're doing a quick 10-minute core circuit, you know, whatever it takes for you to establish that version of yourself, the first thing you do in the morning, you know, you can then let that bleed into the rest of your day. I like to read books. Like, thank you to my mama for like really pushing that on me. But it's really, books are for you to have. Like those are the things that were left by other people as like their reminders and like their kind of vision of how they went through their life. So, you know, you can learn from everything. You know, I try to read everything I can get my hands on. And whether that's from the internet or newspaper or, you know, a billboard, like you can get information from anything.
True.
anything. So
What
yeah.
Real quick to interject, the piece on like reading in books, when do you find yourself reading the most? Are you someone who like moves and then reads in the morning, or are you someone who like reads at night to go to sleep, or just like you one of those people that you get home from work and you can sit there for 3 hours and read? Because I know some of those people, and that's definitely not me. I can't.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. Like when I was younger, I used to read a lot of like novels, and
Yeah.
like find chunks of time to be able to do that. But you know how it goes now. You're really kind of you're segmenting your day, so you try to like really like, this is an hour I'm going to read.
Yeah.
And I find that I can't really do that, especially now with like the schedule's as wonky as it is. I honestly do most of my reading in the morning before I start my day.
Word.
That way it's kind of like, and it's mostly news now, mostly things that I think I need to know.
Okay.
That way I can go through my day informed.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, as coaches, we have to meet people where they're at. I have clients who love to talk about certain things that wouldn't be my first choice to talk about, but as a human being and as someone who wants to help somebody else, I have to be able to meet them where they're comfortable.
Yeah.
So
got to be able to relate.
Absolutely.
Now, where speaking of like the ability to relate to people, you clearly have a natural ass knack for that. So like, where did you start to kind of get that from? Is it something that like just was innately kind of born into you? Is like your family really good with that stuff, or is it something that was just kind of a product of like where you grew up, your environment, and that kind of bled into that translation of your ability to do it now? How'd that kind of play out? Is that how your family is, or is like, where'd you grow up? How did that play into it?
Yeah, I think I come from a pretty no nonsense type of family, so I think that's how I really approach my way of maneuvering through life. It's always been, I think of things at an analytical and logical way, and if I feel like I can do something, I'm gonna do my hardest to do it. Like I grew up where it was, you do your best, but when you're not doing your best. So when you're not doing your best, I'm gonna remind you that you're not doing it and like where you could be. So for me, it was always about always knowing that I could be better and not disappointing myself and my family, knowing that I didn't live up to what I could be. So I think for me, I really dug deep into that in college, where a lot of people go to college and they look at it as an opportunity for whatever it is they want, right? And I saw for me as an opportunity to really try to be whoever I wanted to be. So I volunteered a lot. I tried to be involved in a number of clubs, activities, whatever I could get a hand in, because I want to expose myself to different people, different opportunities, different problems. So I always felt prepared. But yeah, I guess you could say that came from like my parents. Like my father's a colonel in the Army. My mom, very educated, healthcare professional. So I mean, I think genetically I was imprinted with that want to be better, that drive. So that's where it comes from, honestly.
And then, I mean, your mom's a healthcare professional, so obviously she knows how to relate to people. She's dealing with the public all day, every day kind of thing. And your father sounds like a leader, right? Someone who has no choice but to get people to believe in what he's saying.
Right.
So
Right.
that makes perfect sense. That's what's up. It's funny how like that's what I love to do that on here, is that ability to like make people realize there's a reason for the characteristics you have, and we should be grateful for those.
Absolutely.
For
Absolutely.
sure.
Every day.
Yeah, man. Do you practice gratitude a lot? Is that something? Are you one of those people writes everything down, or are you just like consciously, maybe before bed or after you wake up, I'm grateful for this, that, and the next?
It's a conscious thing for me. It's constantly trying to live in that state. Regardless of what it is you're doing, I'm grateful to be here and have this opportunity to do this. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to be annoyed with something that's not going my way.
True.
You know, it's always about being grateful to be in that situation, whether it's good or bad. It's, you know, of course, there's always going to be something that you're going to want more of, you know, but that's what life's about. It's, it's gradual. You know, you got to earn it, you know, and at the end of the day, every day is an opportunity to earn it. So for me, that's what being grateful is. It's every day you get the opportunity to earn everything you want.
Yeah. You don't have to go to work. You get to go to work.
You get to go to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. Oh, I have to call my mom. It's like, no, man, you
get
to call your mom. You know what I'm saying? That's right. Different. Some people don't have that ability.
Right.
No, that's what's up. It's I find that that's something for me that I had to ingrain by like actively doing it for a while. And once I got that practice, I actually did that when I was in school at college for like a year. I like was contemplating like, all right, what's the best way to go about this? How can I do this? And then 1 week I started doing these like weekly challenges. It was actually, I broke my foot my senior year of basketball. I told you that story, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? All right, every Monday I'm gonna just give people a challenge, and I don't even care if they do it. It's really just for me to be held accountable, right? But if anyone is going to do it, they're gonna get something out of it as well. So I hope that it can help somebody. And one of them I did was, all right, every night before bed, you got to write down 5 things that you're grateful for on a sticky note, and you got to put it on the wall next to your bed. I did that for a week. Next thing I knew, I did it for 3 months straight.
Wow.
And I would leave all 30 of them up on my wall. And then at the end of the month, I would read through them. I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that day. Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Good combo. And like, I would read through them and I'd be like, all right, throw them out next month. Let's go. Yo, after that, those like 3 months, now every single opportunity, every single event, everything that happens, I'm like consciously just way more aware of it.
Right.
Definitely.
And that's a great reminder, because as humans, like, I don't know what the stat is, but we remember absolutely nothing. Like our memories are terrible. So it's times like that where you have to remind yourself, like, 2 weeks ago, I was so grateful and so happy for this thing, and now, you know, I'm kind of showing like a selfishness almost, where like I almost disrespect that last grateful time by forgetting about it. You know, now I have a reminder where, you know, life every day is not going to be, you know, you're going to be internally grateful for what you have, but you have to remind yourself of those good times and those good
that's so
moments.
True. You know, like, yeah, people get you know, they're so happy to leave their job and get a new one. And then, you know, 6 months into that new job, they're like, oh, I don't want to go to work, you know, and lose gratefulness for the fact that, hey man, you bumped up, you went to a different place that was still better than where you were. Like, you elevated, and you should be grateful for that and realize it's just, it's a stepping stone. It's somewhere you got to be. That new pair of shoes you got, you know, you wore them the first time, you were amped, right? Now it's like, and you're not excited about it.
Right.
Some people don't have shoes, man.
It's wild. It is wild. And we do it, you know, like people.
Without a doubt.
You know, people who say that they're, you know, always grateful are lying to you. You know, it's almost unless you're like a Buddha, like you know, like it's almost impossible to always live in that state. And I think that's the beauty of life. You know, like every day is a challenge for you to have to try to do that.
True. Yeah. But speaking of Buddha, what's like your thought process on Buddhism? Your thought process on, like, I don't know, religions on as a whole. Do you take a side? Are you on? I don't really know anything about that from your perspective.
So I'm someone who grew up in the church. It's wild. I went to Catholic school growing up, like early stages, elementary school, and then I was never Catholic. It was just, you know, a school I went to. And then my family's practicing like Seventh-day Adventist, so I went to Seventh-day Adventist school for not school but church for a while. And for me, I'm an energy guy. Like religion has always been for me something that I struggle to see don't strike me down for this, like the usefulness of it, because like I'm a big history buff. I was a big history guy before I switched over to like criminal justice fitness type stuff.
Yeah.
But what I've seen, religion has led to a lot of strife.
Okay.
There's been a lot of casualties of war, of poverty, of famine, of politics because of religion. And I'm not saying that religion doesn't have a place.
Yeah.
I find that it's very useful for people, to be able to hold on to something bigger than themselves or higher than themselves.
And faith and hope. Those, yeah,
right.
Those sorts of
those, but I don't think those things have to be tied to any type of religion. I think you can have community, faith, and hope within yourself. Like you can truly believe that your energy is powerful and that your energy is impactful and that you can change lives with your energy. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with thinking like that. But there's also nothing wrong with thinking there's a higher being that I can go to and really gain energy from.
Yeah.
I'm more of the type of like your energy, your internal energy, and the type of people that you vibe around, the type of environments that you you feel comfortable in. And it's about surrounding yourself with those environments that make your energy whole, rather than, I know this is simplifying the thing, but praying to a higher power or anything like that. I'm more of like let's see what I can do. Let's bet on myself and see how my energy can chime in the screen.
It's not that like you can't hope for better or wish for better, but you can't do that by itself. You have to actively pursue that with the hope and the faith that it's going to actually play out and come true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like all that without action is, it's just wishing. You're just wishing for things to get better instead of, acting. And you can pray upon it and be like, give me the strength to do these things, rather than pray for those things to happen to you.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer too that like that we have the strength, we have the knowledge, we have whatever we need inside of us. You're probably familiar with Dr. Sebi, right?
Yep.
He makes this amazing point, bro. This blew my mind when I heard it the first time. He said everything you have or everything you need is within you. He said, take this for example. If someone becomes paralyzed, right, and they have to remain bedridden for a month or 2 months, that person will actually start to accumulate bed sores, right, on their back.
Right.
And if you were to open up those bed sores, you would see that there are worms, right, basically living off of that, right? There's other creatures now, multicellular organisms that are in your body that are living off of that. They didn't crawl in your mouth, bro. They didn't, right? They didn't crawl in your ear, or your eyes, or your butt, right? Like, nah, that actually just grew from within you.
Right.
Which is, when I first heard that, I was like, yo.
That it puts it in perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a wild thing to kind of comprehend for most people. And I think that's why I love, I don't know if that's why you grew to love kind of like the kinesthetic awareness of movement and everything like that, and just the overall human body. But understanding our biology has allowed me to understand why things happen around me so much more than anybody else, I feel.
Right. Absolutely.
It's crazy. And that's like the number one thing I want to be able to like give to people, right? Is that like ability to understand like, hey, your ankle hurts for a reason. It's not just like you have no control over it. You have the ability to change that, right?
You're not just a fragile person. Like
like we're 99.9% similar, and you're telling me that one dude ran 300 miles yesterday, and you're telling me you can't get up off a couch and walk today?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're 99.9% the same as that person. There's something that's underlying within your control that you can change. Exactly. Mindset.
Right.
Man. Wild. Who are some of like the biggest, because we're talking about Dr. Sebi, and I just referred to a David Goggins-esque type person running 300 miles in a day.
Yeah.
Who are some of the people that you really like reside in, you really look up to in, you know, the health and wellness like industry?
Yeah, I like so I dabble in different so for me I dabble in the strength, in like bodybuilding, functional, functional workouts, that type of realm. And then I dabble in like the mobility, flexibility, movement type, more fluid type of realm.
Yeah, you got the animal flow.
Yeah, man. One of my biggest like role models that really puts movement in perspective for me, Dr. Sapina, the FRC system creator.
Yeah.
So it's functional range conditioning. So it's all about
his name one more time. I don't know if everyone heard it.
Yeah, Dr. Sapina.
Okay.
I'm blanking on his last name right now, but look up functional range conditioning, the functional range system, and it's all about training your passive end ranges to be stronger, right? So you have two types of people. You have the people who are not flexible at all, who are not flexible and not strong, right? But then you have the people who are supremely flexible but super floppy and not really strong with like their flexibility.
No muscle recruitability,
No muscle recruitment, right? So if I told you to, lift your leg out to its full end range, right, you would have no problem with that. But if I told you to hold it there and, pulse it at the end range, you'd be able to do that without trembling kind of stuff. So for me, his slogan is, you can't move where you can't move, right? So as simple shit, right? So like as a coach, it's like he uses this example. Kettlebells are all the craze, right? Kettlebell Joe loves kettlebells, opens up a kettlebell shop, right? A kettlebell gym, right? Any new person who comes into Kettlebell Joe's shop, what's the first thing he's gonna hand them? Kettlebell, right? So a mom of 3, who just came off of pregnancy, who's just looking for a little bit of movement to get back into, her routine, getting back to feeling like she's good. Can she handle a kettlebell? Have we assessed her movement capabilities?
Yeah.
Does she have enough range of motion in her ankles or her hips or her shoulders or her elbows or anything for her to be doing anything weight bearing? Like, the bottom line is we don't do enough as coaches to really see where our clients are at and really prevent injuries in them, because ultimately when, again, very basic, the load exceeds, the weight bearing capacity, you get injury. And we always tell our clients, well, why are you getting injured? Like, this is how you do the exercise. Like, this is how it's supposed to be done. You shouldn't be hurting. But maybe there's something biologically that is preventing them from moving in that same range. So it's really about, forget, a squat, a traditional squat, forget a traditional lunge, whatever that means. They're really just mouth noises that we've labeled onto a different movement pattern, when at the end of the day, we're just trying to be Homo sapiens. Like, humans should be able to do human shit, which is like cartwheels and like, hang from trees and, so it's about making people better Homo sapiens rather than,
better squatters.
Better squatters, better at exercise. So that's one person. And then there's a whole multitude of people I follow on like the strength building side of it, because I was obviously, as an athlete, I come from like the athletic training, sports specific, sports performance type of training. So people like Marcus Philly, I love Marcus Philly. He's a good one. Gideon Akande is one of my go-tos. But there's a multitude of others who really just cover everything you need to know about fitness, but they approach it from a way I would approach it, as I have what I like and it works for me and my clients, but do what you have to do to get better.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not the end all be all. You can admire me, but don't look at me as the god of movement or the god of WODs or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
like anything, right? It's like you can't survive with such a minute mindset and focus, because I mean, I learned something today that I didn't know yesterday, and that goes for every single person in the world.
mm-hmm.
And then you put that together, some shit changed in the last 24 hours, you know, about the thought process of fitness,
Right.
you know, about the thought process of mobility, about the understanding of how our nervous system influences that, and breathing, sorry, all those different things play out. So when people get so tied in on certain things, it's hard to give them the full like respect and attention, because you can see that they're passionate about it to the point where they've lost the ability to comprehend and utilize other tools, right? Like,
right.
It's about using all the tools in your toolbox.
Right.
You know, if anything, you should be just continuously improving how many tools you have in your toolbox, and your
right.
efficiency of knowing when to use what.
Right. So you're ready for anything.
Yeah.
You know, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's
true.
You know, it's
that goes for on a fitness level too. People forget that we're just trying to be better Homo sapiens. And if you look at the rest of the animal kingdom, they don't necessarily warm up before they get chased on the safari. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Tiger's not like, yo.
Right. I'll give you 5 minutes to, you know, get a full body, you know, stretch your hamstrings real quick.
No.
You know, and that's what our ancestors weren't doing. You know, our ancestors weren't being like, yo, let's get up and do a circuit, 3 rounds of this, and that. It was, nah, grab your sword, you know, grab that shield, and let's go. You know,
and stay active through chopping wood. Stay active through, you know, making
walking
a house.
6 miles a day. Right. It's not hard. It's not rocket science.
No, it's not. You know, if there's one thing that I've kind of started to pay a little bit more attention to, in the eyes of, you know, the bigger concept of kind of animal flow-esque movement, is Ido Portal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just like, it's a monkey, right? And it's like, that's where we came from. Like, let's just, you know,
do that stuff.
Yeah. Man. It's that stuff gets overlooked.
And we get caught up in the high intensity, you know, butt dusting, you know, booty building, you know, it's
aesthetics,
muscle pumping, you know, aesthetics. And at the end of the day, we all get to become old and wrinkly, and you know, and there's nobody walking around as hell 80 years old, you know. And even if they are, it doesn't look nearly as good as it did when you were 30. So why wouldn't you want to change your mindset to be like, I can look this way, but I can now touch my toes?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's wrong with thinking that as well? You know, so it's
quality of life as well, right?
Quality of your life, quality of your movement, quality of your coaching, your training.
Yeah. And the other thing too, right, is if you look at a whole health and holistic kind of world basis, it's really new. The 70s and the bodybuilding, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, they really brought to the world like a minute time of your day that you spend training. Right. That wasn't like a concept that was, I mean, in other countries, there's still not even gyms. There's not group classes. There's not like, hey, go work out for 1 hour or 2 hours, you know. That's not even a thing in other places. Because you were talking about, it's just, hey, move. That should be a general part of your day. You shouldn't be sitting in a desk for 8 hours. And unfortunately, that's what we've come to do from like a society standpoint. But the blue zones around the world, the Okinawas, right, of the world,
Right.
those places don't partake in actual like allotted time for fitness.
Right.
And they're living longer than anybody, and they're healthier, and they have lower body fat percentages and less chance of dying from cardiovascular disease. And
right.
Yeah.
I think that really comes down to like there's certain parts of the world, mostly Western culture, that is overexposed to different types of information.
Yeah.
Right. So there you have to kind of sift through what works, and not only what works, but what works for you. You know, not what works for your friend who told you about the movement, but like you specifically. And I think we're one extreme, and then there's another extreme like China where they have access to no information, so they're very behind when it comes to fitness.
Yeah.
You know, like we have access and we have the drive to want to be involved in being fit.
And the freedom to do so.
And the freedom to do so. You know, China, they lack the information, but it's not a big part of their culture.
Yeah.
You know, so there is very like you're athletic when you're younger or you're smart, and that's the cutoff. You know, so
and then
I think here.
You go finish.
No, I was just saying like here it's, you know, people have access to too much. You know, instead of just getting back to the basics and understanding who we are fundamentally, like we overanalyze and synthesize different things. So
yeah, that's a good point. And that plays out too in so many other things other than fitness. And that's kind of a reason like I talk about this sometimes with like the nutrition side of things. Especially with like everything going on right now. It's like, oh, well, the studies say that this can help. The studies say that can help. It's like, yo, the studies are done by someone who typically wants an answer that's going to benefit them. You know, like research is,
right.
You can't say that for the 4,000 people involved in a study that this one thing helped all of them, because there was 9 billion other things that they did that were different throughout their lives. That person slept different. So they had different amounts of, you know, hormones running around their body the next day.
Right.
You can't.
It's too many factors to pinpoint.
You cannot pinpoint things like that.
Right.
Oh man. But we try so hard to do so. And with that comes the information of coffee's good for you. Nope, coffee's bad for you.
Right.
You know, like drinking disinfectants is good for you. Drinking disinfectants is bad for you.
That was crazy, bro. I don't even know. Like, my thing, like I tell this to people since this happened. It's like, why didn't anybody in that room, like any doctor, any healthcare professional, just be like, yo, listen, please don't do that. Like, Mr. President, I'm sorry, but like, please, like, we cannot say that.
No, dude.
Anyway,
that same thought goes back to like, you see a terrible commercial and you're like, yo, who was in that board meeting? Who was sitting there and was like, yo, we're gonna do a commercial, because now like you're on the management side of a gym, right? And it's like, you understand how a business is running. Like, you come up with an idea and you decide to move forward with it, and yo, that's how things work. Who was sitting there was like, yo, that was a good idea. That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's have a unanimous yes on this. Like, no one in the room was like, let's rethink this. I mean, and that goes to show you, like, so you got to choose who you surround yourself with very wisely.
True.
You don't want yes people around you all the time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what that comes down to.
It's that's so valid. And it's weird that it's the people that say yes that are typically the issue, right? Because you think of like no being a negative word, right? And that's what we're kind of led to believe. But more often than not, like saying no to not going out is a good thing, you know.
It's a good thing.
Saying no to, you know, not partaking in certain things is a good thing. Saying no to, you know, wasting 3 hours watching this, that, and the next is a good thing.
Yep. And I not enough people say no to themselves or other people. You know, I think for me, my whole life has just been predicated on just I'm going to bet on myself before I bet on any other person, organization, company. Like at the end of it, I trust myself enough. I believe in myself enough that I can move things forward. And even if I can't, I can live with the consequences.
Yep.
And I think that's the part that people can't, reconcile with is the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
It's not everything is going to work out. So
gotta
fail.
And the ability to realize that if you fail, then it could be for two reasons. One, it's not something that you should continue to pursue, right? There's just it doesn't make the most sense. It's not going to benefit you the most in the long run. Or two,
right.
You've hit a bump in the road where you just need to elevate yourself in order to get to the next level of whatever you're pursuing is.
Exactly.
And with that is, okay, I know that I can bet on myself to learn any skill that I need in order to elevate.
Right.
Everything we learn is a skill, every action, every word that comes out of our mouth is muscle memory that's ingrained in our subconscious, right? In our nervous system. Right. So whatever you expose your nervous system to, whether it's things that you're hearing or listening or seeing or smelling or tasting, you're gonna start to accumulate those. And
exactly.
You can continue to just get better and better. From that, like, betting on yourself kind of perspective, what is it that you have for like future big goals, or what's your like overarching plan?
Dude, for me, it's all about living my life on my terms. I don't want to give I live to inspire people and stuff like that. Like I try to do that by living in a way that people can, look to and be like, okay, I'm not there yet, but I can make the changes needed to get to where he's at, and wherever that may be. I never look at myself as like I'm higher than anybody.
Yeah.
Or
and it's not that they need to get to where you're at. They can take whatever they want to take from who you've become and what you have and what you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that about him, or the way he's portrayed that is something that I would like to see myself portraying. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. It's because for me, it's not a race. It's not a race to the top. I'm not trying to be number one. I'm trying to be the best version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I hold myself to a standard that's higher than anything anybody else could.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my plans are to continue using fitness and movement as a platform.
Yeah.
For myself and others. I have a strong passion for what I originally was working towards, was a career in criminal justice. So ultimately, my goal would try to find a way to combine the two. Try to figure out a way to be able to give back to the community and give back to people who look like me. Let's be honest, who look like me, who aren't able to have opportunities to live their best life or pursue their dreams. So for me, it's about getting to a place where I can bridge the gap between the two. Because from my experience, movement saves lives, and it really saves people from going down paths that aren't good for them. So if I can be, that person that people look to and be like, movement saved him, or movement led him to a place where, good things are coming from, then that's all I can look for right now.
And I love that, especially because when you start to identify with movement, that is identifying with a positive version of yourself, right? So in and of that, you start to attract a better energy, you start to attract a better vibe, and you start to have a better internal feeling of confidence and the desire to eat better, the desire to, it's physiologically proven, right? You move
Right.
and you have dopamine, you have serotonin, you have all these different hormones that drive you to do better things as opposed to worse things.
Those things, right.
And that damn, tying that in with criminal justice is super, super cool. I love that.
Because we're spending trillions and trillions of dollars on caging people, right? Imagine if we gave them freedom to move. You know, if we taught people that instead of, you know, funneling your feelings, your negative feelings, whatever feelings you're going through, emotions that you're going through, you know, those antisocial activities that got you to where you are. If we can show you something simple that you can do on your own, that you can do anywhere, that's why I do my workouts wherever, anywhere, you know, like you're not confined to those four walls that, you know, you told yourself that you have to be in, you know, like, no, like use movement as an outlet, use movement as a way for you to elevate yourself, to move into a space that is unknown, you know, try something new, you know, it's
quick interjection. The nuance of like, don't let the four walls determine what you can do inside of them. Ben Greenfield, he said that, I was listening to something, one of his like travel hacks is he goes to the bathroom when he's on the airplane and he does squats and he does like a couple mobility moves every time that he goes in there. And I was like, nobody would think like, yo, make the bathroom the place to move.
right.
But I find myself like, if I'm at a conference, I'm like, oh, I'll just go to the bathroom. I'll like do some squats. I'll do a couple things.
Right.
You know, I loosen myself up a little bit. All right, now I'll go sit back down. It's like, yo, you can literally just move because you can. You can do that anywhere.
Exactly. Anywhere.
And
anywhere.
You said one more thing, and I'm losing it. I had something I wanted to say. You were talking about. Oh man, I wish I kept that thought.
All good, man.
But
We'll come back to you.
Yeah, for sure. It had to do with something regarding, like, say, a similar thing, like the movement and how that plays out for people. But in terms of all of that, like, there's just so much came back to me. There's so much that people have pent up and built up, right? And it comes from everything. I mean, everything in life is quite literally stress, right? Working out is stress that you're putting on your body. You know, having a conversation can be stressful with your friends and family. Like, you know, the toxins that you're breathing in at all times of the day are stress on your body. There's everything is stressful, and that can get pent up. And a lot of people's way of expressing that and getting that out is through fearful acts of violence and things like that, right? Like, I'm in survival mode. I'm going to get myself out by making sure that there's not another threat, right? As opposed to realizing, like, hey, everybody out here is feeling like this. You know, everybody's in this position, so there's no need to make it worse by fighting against each other.
Right.
I watched I Am Bruce Lee documentary, and he talks about so much of it is why he loved to kind of stand his ground and express himself in the ways that he wanted to, because he wanted to show people that they can express themselves through movement. And just quite literally, like, that's how you should express your feelings, because we are the most we're the only bipedal, right, creatures that can really move.
Do that, right?
Do. So why do we not express ourselves that way more? And if you haven't watched that documentary, I would definitely.
I'm on it. Yeah,
that's kind of it's a dope one, especially if you're not like entirely familiar with his story. Because he was far more interesting than I mean, his story was far more interesting than I had known. What he went through and how he had to get to where he was.
Yeah, he's one of those dudes who you considered him a legend because that's what people told you.
Exactly.
Like instead of like actually like reading up on him and discovering like why he was actual legend. Like at least for me, I was like, Bruce Lee's the man because that's what I always heard and that's what I always saw. So
yeah.
it's that matters, right? It's really diving in and understanding who you're admiring. So
that's a good
I like
point.
that. I'm gonna hop on that.
And with that being said, right, it's like, the goal is with this podcast is to just share stories, right? Let people know who they're talking to, who they're hearing from, who's out there in the world, who's trying to push forward, and why are we all the same? Why do we all have the same ability to do so? And how can we all come together to continue to do that?
Right.
I have one last question for you. But before I ask it, I want you to tell everybody where they can go follow you and learn from the mastermind himself.
Yeah, man. I'm on Instagram, obviously, fitness_by_Nesbitt, NESBITT, 2 T's, not one. That's always like my biggest pet peeve. But yeah, I'm like, if you guys want to shoot me a direct message, you want to email me, the email is fitness.by.nesbitt. So it said the underscore, just put the dot. But guys, reach out if you need anything. I'm really cool.
I'm really cool. Humble brag. Nah, I can attest to that. He's pretty cool. And definitely go follow him. I mean, like he was talking about in terms of anytime, anywhere fitness and just overall like great mindset and the ability to do what you can, when you can, with what you have. This is the man. He puts out great content on that stuff. So last question, bro. If there were 5 people you could have a conversation with, okay?
Damn.
Dead or alive, you have a 30-minute conversation.
Woo.
Who you choosing, man?
5 people, dead or alive. All right. Wow, I like this question. All right, so let's start with Harriet Tubman.
Oh, okay.
I love Harriet. She was dope. Winston Churchill.
Word. All time.
I know. It's tough because there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
This next person, I just absolutely need to have a conversation with. Not Samuel Jackson, Denzel Washington.
Like, yeah. Word.
Living legend.
Yeah.
Ooh. You know, when it comes down to it, like I like strong leaders, like regardless, right? So I'm not saying I believe anything he's ever done, but I think Hitler was one of the most interesting minds that have ever walked this earth, and if I could ever have like a neutral conversation with him,
neutral.
You know what I'm saying? As much as whatever that means, like the dude was nuts, but he was also one of the most brilliant minds like we've ever seen.
Yeah, in terms of leadership, without a doubt.
In terms of leadership, like it's, and then, man, you had to hit me with 5, right?
Yeah.
5. Okay. The 5th one for me, we're trying to dig deep here, but it would probably have to be my boy Abe Lincoln.
Oh, that's what's up. Okay.
Because I'll tell you why with Abe. He was in a lose-lose situation, and he still chose the one that he knew would kill him. And that's savage. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like you're gonna make a decision that's gonna kill you, and
you got to do it anyways.
You do it anyway. And there's mixed reviews. Like he did it for selfish reasons or he did it for good reasons. So it'd be nice to know.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, bro. That's a great top 5. You got Harriet Tubman, Winston Churchill, Denzel, Hitler, and Abe. The 5
Yeah.
still. Damn.
Yeah.
That's what's up. I'll give you 2 of mine that I had on there. I had Buddha and I had Bob Marley on there.
Bob Marley's another good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do this all day.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like I can name people, you know, and that's the beauty of it, man. There's so many cool people that you can learn from that came before us. And we're just trying to be one of those people.
Exactly.
Whatever that looks like, you know, like that's the goal. That's life. That's what life's about.
Yeah. And it's not about, you know, competing against one another to get a certain number of people to like and remember and call me legendary as opposed to you, right? It's
right.
Everybody's gonna have a different attraction to a different human person, to a different story that they hear in a different way.
Right.
And it's about just putting as many good stories out there as possible for people to connect with and move forward.
Right.
True. Well, brother, thank you for this. This was
appreciate you, man.
Cool. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I definitely look forward to getting in some sort of workout, man. We got to.
Got it, bro.
When all of this subsides, if it does not.
We might need to just link up and just stay like 10 feet apart.
Nah, we could definitely do that. We get a pano. We get the what's it called? The fisheye on the camera, so it can capture us 10 feet from each other.
Hey, whatever we gotta do, bro.
I'm about it, man. I'm definitely about it. Well, in the meantime, continue to do great things, bro. And everyone, please go follow him and start to take a chunk of what he is doing and apply it to your own life, because it'll definitely help. So
appreciate that, man.
Of course. In the meantime, be limitless, my friend.
Will do, brother. Stay safe.
You too.
What's up, LT Tribe? DFOS here, just to express my gratitude and say thank you for tuning in and continuously commenting, liking, sharing, and subscribing to the episodes and the content that we are bringing you. It is helping so much. Once again, I want to say thank you and hope you have a great rest of your day. There's one thing that we can count on to keep us connected, and that is the one and only video conferencing platform, Zoom. Zoom is an amazing platform. It's the very platform that I use to record the visual portion of the LT360 podcast. I also used it today to share a business plan and stay connected with someone that wanted to learn more about products and services that we offer. And I also used it to train a virtual personal training client this morning. It is virtually simplistic, very simplistic. Anybody can use it, and we just scored an amazing deal. As unfranchised owners, you can get the $160 valued membership through Zoom for just $9.99 per month. Instead of paying $160 per month for unlimited recording access and storage and tons of other features, you can pay $9.99 per month and save nearly $1,800 per month. You best believe it. I signed up, I created and transferred my account over to this pro account, and I will not be looking back, because that $9.99 per month that I'm paying also comes with a residual 15% IBV commissions. Each and every month that I pay out $9.99, I'm getting 15% commissions on that in the form of IBV, and I cannot think of an easier and better way to stay connected with my team and help my team get paid. So make sure you head over to your back office, go to my account, go to my services, and look up Zoom video conferencing. You will not be disappointed. Let's all use Zoom to help us stay connected and get financially fit together. If you're anything like me, you've learned that when you connect great people and great food, the opportunities are absolutely limitless. Well, we aren't the only ones. Rastelli's Meat Market, a nationally and internationally recognized company as an industry leader in food safety and food quality, is bringing you all of your animal proteins straight to your door. With more than 40 years of experience, they have been seeking out farming and fishing families that span generations, with a deep-rooted passion for their craft and a proven history of caring for their animals and the environment that they grow up in. They're delivering all of your animal proteins straight to your door in a vacuum-sealed packaging that can stay frozen for up to a year. I mean, the opportunities here with this are limitless. They have everything from antibiotic-free steaks and burgers, chicken and pork, to filet mignon, lobster, wild-caught shrimp, antibiotic-free ribeyes and salmon and tuna. You name it, they have it. They also have frozen meals. And the best part, people, is you can earn up to 27.5% IBV commissions for buying your dinner for you and your family on a monthly basis, okay? If you are on auto ship with Rastelli's on a monthly basis, you can earn 27.5% commissions on anything you may order. If you want to just do a one-time purchase, you can earn 22%. What an amazing deal. What a time to be alive. You can get paid for the very food that is on your plate, and you can do so with peace of mind because you know it is very, very high quality. Rastelli's Meat Market does not lack on quality at all. One of the newest partners with Shop.com. So make sure to go to shop.com/limitlesstheory and search Rastelli's, RASTELLIS, and earn 27.5% or 22% on your next dinner meal. All right? Check it out. I know you won't be disappointed. Did I tell you guys about my new water filtration system? It's sitting right on my kitchen counter, and it took me less than 5 minutes to install. It's super, super easy, and it's very beneficial, saving me a lot of time and money. It's called Pure H2O. Pure H2O filters out the chlorine taste and bad odors, greatly improving the quality and the clarity of your tap water with literally the flip of a switch. It can take out 97% of the chlorine found in typical tap water and 77 other contaminants. And I said it's saving me time and money. Filtered water is environmentally responsible because you're choosing not to buy plastic water bottles. And those prepackaged water bottles, as we are learning, are far less healthy than we think. There's a lot of contaminants in those things. They're being mass produced, and those companies are caring more about the money and less about the quality. All right, so Pure H2O cares a little bit more. They're not looking for mass production. They're looking for high quality. And it's your water, and we understand that water is the foundation of the body. There's a strong connection between the quality of our water and a long, healthy life, right? Our bodies are 72% water, and that requires us to refill and fulfill that on a daily basis with pure, clean water for optimal health. So take the first step towards better health with Pure H2O. You can get an over-the-counter water filtration system or under-the-counter installation kit. Either way, it's a great option for you and your family to take the next step towards health. So go over to shop.com/limitlesstheory and use code 10OFFMA for 10% off your purchase of a Pure H2O water filtration system. Alrighty guys, until then, drink pure.